In this video, we're going to create a double row header using Breakdance and Breakdance header builder. So what we're going to end up with is a header with a top row and then a main row. And as we scroll, the main navigation and the call to action, they scroll with us down the page and brings in a nice little drop shadow as well there. So really nice, sexy little move. So this is really important for websites. As far as I'm concerned, it's the first effort that you can make towards providing a really refined customer journey towards conversion. So there are, excuse me, there are loads of advantages here. One of them is that you can create primary and secondary navigation links. The example here is that the primary links are the services. This is where what you want customers to go and explore. Ultimately, you'd like them to click on the call to action, obviously. And then we have sort of additional links that are important if people feel that way inclined. But as they're scrolling around the site, it's not the most important thing. So maybe something about such as the about links or reviews or blog posts. These are important. They shouldn't be in the footer, but we also just don't want to be dragging everything around and creating lots of visual clutter. So this is really important to put on your website and design with that in mind. Again, especially if you have separate service pages, really important that these are dominating the navigational link there. So, all right, let's pop into the Breakdance interface and we'll get going on this one. I will just say I'm not doing anything for visuals so much here. These are all just sort of tokenistic, style it up better, of course. Okay, so into the dashboard and Breakdance and headers, and then we're going to add header. And I'll call this a homepage header, and we'll just stick this onto the front page there. Okay, done. And now let's pop into the interface. Cool. Now, I will say something here actually about when I came to WordPress, I started to use Elementor. That's how I started to use WordPress. Before that, I was using Joomla and creating my own templates, and before that, I was hand coding. But using Elementor, I didn't remain mindful of HTML structure, document structure, and correctly keeping things tagged. It's something that I definitely let slide, and I've been thinking about that recently. So I once would have, as with Elementor, used a section and have all of the layout functionality available. So that's how I might have created a double row. But that's not actually awesome. Well, especially if you don't take the time to re-tag the section to something such as the header, which is what should be the case. So the logo, navigation, call to action, items like that, they are expected to be at the top of the HTML document and enclosed in the header tag. And actually, we can have a look at that. If we just go to inspect, and we'll see. There we are, the header there, and you can see that that's highlighting both of the rows there. You could have a div on top of the header which has just maybe a bit of text, a notice or something like that. But if it's navigational, if it has a call to action or navigation, it really should be within the header tag. So for that reason, it would be important to, if you're going to use a section, ensure that the header tag is there, but also to ensure that you're not doing something like this, and then maybe you've got a header tag, or to use Breakdance header builder. This would create a bit of an issue that that would be a double header tag, which isn't good. Yeah, so it's good to be mindful of these things, and even when you know it, still be mindful. So there would have been a day when I might have done something a bit like this, and that isn't good unless we're turning that into a div and tagging that as a div. That would be kind of okay, but there shouldn't be navigational calls to action in here. Okay, so scrapping all of that, and we're going to stick with the header builder from Breakdance. It has all of the correct tags in place, and you get things like sticky and overlay, which is really fantastic. When I first came to Breakdance, though, from Elementor, I felt that this was a bit limiting just because of how it sort of prescribes the layout, especially horizontally. But of course, we're going to overcome that today and create a double row header. All right, bit of info there, so I hope you don't mind that, but it is important to learn all of these things. Okay, so let's grab a div, and we're going to start creating our rows. So we'd like 100% row there, obviously. I'll just make it purple so we can see what we're doing, and we're going to duplicate that. And again, the header builder is creating a row, so it's horizontally spaced out. Gonna just chuck another color in that one just so that we can see it. We've got the Joker from Batman obviously coming through there. So we've got 200% row divs, 100% width divs, and if we look at the layout, it seems a little bit constricted, like what are we to do? But we're just going to stack vertically at desktop, and that's all done. Okay, so first of all, let's get rid of the padding. Spacing, padding, zero that out and apply to all. And then of course we need that gap reduced there to 0. Size, full, happy days. Okay. So we've got our two rows. We've got a top row and we've then got the main row. Okay. That's looking good so far. We now need to bring in the logo and the menu. So let's bring in the image first of all. So bring in the image and this terrible logo that I made up in just 5 minutes. It was literally for the sake of this course, which you can purchase. There will be a discount in the description below. So if you want to learn how to build your own business website with Breakdance, or build a business website with Breakdance, you'll learn how to create this 5-page website, all of the essential pages, and you get to learn how to use Breakdance. Bear in mind, this is a great offering for businesses or business clients who are looking for that first digital web presence. Gets them through the door as your client is something you can offer them and get them going. But it's also a foundation learning experience for you. So this is where you'll learn a lot of fundamentals. Bear in mind, this is where we learn fundamentals, and we always need to be improving and going deeper. But this very website is the one that we are now experimenting on to improve and learn more. So this is where you learn all of those basics and foundations. I explain why we're doing lots of things, but then of course we're going to improve on that in further courses and free tutorials. So get the discount in the description below and start up on the course. Build something new today. Anyway, right, so off we go. Let's size up this image, and we want it to be something along those lines, and we'll wrap it in the link. That's good to do as well, isn't it? And then we're going to need to bring in the menu. Okay, so I'm not really going to style up the menu so much. Like, you can have fun with that for yourselves, but we're just going to put a few items in there. So this one, we're going to do installations, because I'd like to draw attention to the main services. Installations, checks, compliance, something along those lines. Very sexy talk. And what do we do? Commercial. Oh, yeah. Something like that, rewiring, and then let's just have a call to action. So we'll chuck a button in there, but we don't want it to be so prominent. I don't really. Oh, the main course has more of a button like that, but it's just standard. But yes, I would like it to be a bit more like that. That's cool. And let's just make these links a little bit more bold. Again, we don't really need to worry about aesthetics right now. This is just for the learning of it. Right, okay, that will do the job quite nicely right now. So first of all, let's set this to the correct layout. We would like it to be space between, and that's looking good. And then of course, we're not going to stick with the green. So let's go with site white, and we need some more padding on that one, don't we? Is that a bit too much? Yeah. Yeah, I like that more. Okay, cool. So save that out. So we have one row already. That's looking pretty nice. Now let's tend to the top row. Now, again, this is where you want to put little notices or additional calls to action or secondary navigation. You never want to put social links in there. Why would you send someone away from your site as soon as they've gotten there? So again, we'll just put in some demo stuff here. So bonus or free, get your free safety checklist, and we'll put that there so it looks like an icon, because I'm not going to get too fussy with that. Cool. We would like this to be white, and we're just going to bring it down in size. Great. And let's give this a bit of padding. Obviously, you know, you're going to style this as you see fit for your project. I think that's a bit too much. 4. Okay, cool. All right, don't need to do much more than that. And let's bring in another menu. I'll just steal this one. And additional ones. So we would have about and blog and reviews. And before you tell me that reviews and social proof are supposed to be more prominent, yes, they should. Around the page, they should be more prominent. On the header, I don't think, you know, sending someone to a review page is the best way to do it. So let's space this out and bring that in. Okay, cool. That's lovely. And the padding around those links is messing up my style. So links, and what am I doing? Size. There we go. That will do. Right. I think that's fine. Bring the weight down on those. Cool. Bit too prominent for my liking, actually. A bit too small, but we get the idea. Right, let's turn this one into a black top row. That's in keeping with the brand, and that's cool. Okay, so let's look on the front end. This is a previous page, so this isn't actually the right one. So this is our current, and that's really nice. We've got a double row header there in place. Now, what we would like to have is the main row being sticky, obviously. So this is actually a little bit more complicated than we would wish. So the header builder does have a sticky option, and if we just enable that and top, you see that it's, you know, sticking to the top, which is really fantastic. You can offset that. You can change the style so that, and I'm a big fan of this, so that you can have a drop shadow when it's in sticky mode. So look at that. Whoa, quite severe, but let's have a look on the front. It gives this really nice effect that the site is traveling under the header, which is really cool. God, That is strong, but I do like it, I have to say. Maybe it's one of those guilty pleasure sort of things. But the problem that you can see is that we are bringing both of the rows with us, and we don't want that. Now, there is a way to get around that. I think actually in a breakdance tutorial, I think it was Lewis, showed that you can duplicate the header, and this one would have the top row removed. That's correct. So you'd remove the sticky from that top one, and then the bottom one would have the sticky setting as it does at the moment, and then you would make it so that this little fella doesn't actually show up. So it's hide until scroll. And if we look at the effect of that, you can change the when the scroll comes into effect. But what you've got there is a header with just the main row following you down the page, which is job done. That is a way to do it. However, if we are looking at the actual code of it, we've got a header and a header, and it's still there in the source code. Let's what did I do? I don't even know how I did that. Well, there we are. So we've got one there and then one there. So we see that we've got two items. That's not actually ideal. And so why not neaten it up a bit? We want to have the least amount on our page as possible anyway. So we're going to scrap that. Now, the top header, so we're back to our one header with two rows, and it shouldn't be sticky. No, that's good. Okay, so now what we would like to do is take the main row and add stickiness to it. So we're going to go to animations, sticky, top, and we don't want to play with that. That's really cool. And so if we save, we could preview this in the interface, but it's fine. And scroll down, we see that the top row disappears with the actual header, but the main row stays and it joins us. Only thing we need to do now is sort out a lovely little drop shadow, because who doesn't like that? So what we're going to do is give the main row a class, such as that one, perfect one there, and then we're going to apply a sticky. You could actually do selector sticky, but I do have preference to just create a class and keep that more specific. I might want to do something else with it later. So now if we scroll down, we see that the main row is having this shadow applied to it. So let's pop to the front again and we'll have a look at that. Scrolling on down, there we are. We've got a lovely drop shadow. Obviously we can adjust that here. But yeah, it's doing the job as we would like it to. Absolutely brilliant. And if we just have a little look at that, we've only got one header, which is actually it's best. That's what we should be doing. So yeah, that is how to create a double row header correctly using Breakdance Header Builder. And if you like this little snippet, it's easy to do, to be honest, but you'll find that link in the description below, again with a discount for this course, so you can learn how to build this in this entire website, and then we do fun little experiments on it and improve our learning. But yeah, that's how to do that one. If you have any ideas for tutorials or something you'd like to learn, please put it in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day. On to the next one.